All right, here we go. We're live again. Bring my microphone closer. How's everyone doing today? Why am I... Okay, that was before the live stream. Let me stop. Here we go. Now we're live. Bitcoin has broken out. It's done very well. I'm quite happy with it, and it's actually trading within roughly the 11.3, 11.4k range, which is where we would expect to find Bitcoin. Oh, sorry. Just as we go on, just drop a yes in the chat if you can hear me fine. But yeah, so one of the key levels I outlined for you was the 11.2 level, roughly around about over here. And basically, I was saying that Bitcoin has resistance all over in this range, but the main area of resistance, the main areas of resistance, are colored in with these two green boxes. And you know what I was saying to you for quite a while now is if Bitcoin does end up breaking out of the symmetrical triangle, it's going to start finding some support over here, most likely. Okay, great, audio works. And if it ends up breaking over this resistance level, then in my view, it should be able to make a clean run up to 11.6, 11.8. And that is the next and really the final frontier as far as resistance goes for Bitcoin. You know, that's why this live stream is titled "All Barriers Cleared," because they pretty much are. They nearly are all cleared. And while we're going along, drop a like on the video as well. Always much appreciated. But while sorry, I'm just looking at messages from my assistant. While we are trading up here, we did end up breaking this resistance area and dropping a little bit lower, which was absolutely perfect. I mentioned to you quite a few times that this area was sort of a vacuum in my view, and if Bitcoin ended up breaking above this level, we'd hit the next area. So I wanted to trade this gap, and that's exactly what I did. I wasn't prepared to trade it on the way up. It wasn't even a case of not being prepared. I just didn't think it would be a smart idea. But what did end up happening is I set a long order on Bitcoin if it were to drop lower. And where was my long order? I can't remember. I entered a long position on Bitcoin at 11,265. So that was a very, very good entry for this long position, as it seems, because I'm only at a modest something like 17% profit at the moment, which is good. I mean, it beats out the entire market. You know, Bitcoin's only up by 2.5%. So on a day like today, I've done pretty well, really beating out the entire market. But what's so key about this is actually, I am expecting a rally higher, and even if we don't get it, I am looking at potentially just moving my stop loss to break even very soon, so that I don't have any risk in this trade anymore. That is very, very important to me, and of course I did share the details on that with VIP members. But what's happening from here? So there's a couple different things that Bitcoin could be doing at the moment. It could be forming a falling wedge that would look something a little bit like this, and we just kind of end up trading like this and trading downwards until I would highly suspect that we end up finding support over here. I'm very, very how do I say, optimistic about this range as being support, because recently we've demonstrated some really, really good signs of strength. We broke out of the symmetrical triangle first, but also before that, you guys remember when the FCA regulations were announced here in the UK, or also when Bitmex, for example, they had some of their co-founders charged with a bunch of things, and one of them even arrested and in custody. There were quite a few bearish, headlines for Bitcoin at the time, but it still managed to, trade lower. Trade exactly where it was, and after that we ended up breaking out. So these are quite a few signs of of strength in the market, and then we've had short consolidation periods overall. I mean, they were slightly concerning to me at the time, but obviously now that we've broken above resistance, it's so clear that these were relatively short areas of of trouble. I mean, they didn't last long for Bitcoin, and now it's above this resistance area. And obviously, the one thing we know about support and resistance areas is when we first encounter them as resistance, we do typically get rejected. Bam, rejection there, bam, rejection there, and I'm even going to count this one and this one. That's 4 rejections in a row. But what happens as soon as we break above it? We break above the level and bam, we're finding support. 1, 2, and then 3, and then yeah, we can even count this. 4, 5. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There is just a lot of support in this range because it's acted as so much resistance in the past as well. We can see this very, very clearly. Look at how much price interaction there is with the green box and the green line. I mean, this is a very, very clear area of support for Bitcoin at the moment. We even used it on the way down when we had our really, really big dump. And let's trace it back even further. And we're going to see, following this green line, what happened back in 2019. We were finding some resistance and support around this range at many, many points throughout Bitcoin's price history. And I'm curious, let's see what happened in 2018 as well. We're looking at this line over here, and yeah, there was some price interaction going back as far as 2017 and 18 as well. Not a whole lot, so this level has become more significant lately compared to in the history of Bitcoin, but it absolutely still seems like a very, very good setup for Bitcoin to continue trading higher. I think that's very, very important. If Bitcoin does end up continuing to trade into this range, I think that it's just got a beautiful opportunity to find support. So the stop loss on my long position is actually just a little bit below this green line. If I show you where it is, I mean, VIPs already know this, of course, they got that update in real time, but it's right where this blue line is at the moment. So my stop loss is just below this range at the moment. I might even raise it just because why not? I mean, it's a nice profit. Why would I risk losing out on these profits just because I'm getting greedy or something like that, right? So that's pretty much why I'm so keen on this long position that I'm in at the moment. I feel very comfortable with it. I've already closed some profits, and of course, as usual, I've been giving VIP members real-time updates on how that was going. And so that's the first thing. I think that if we do drop lower, we're going to find support here. This was a strong area of resistance and support in the past, and now that we're above it, I am expecting it to be support. So what happens on the way up? Well, obviously, if we end up bouncing from here, we are going to start trading into this next area of resistance, which, well, I mean, it's resistance in my opinion. Obviously, I never tell you what to do or what to analyze in the market and all that stuff. But this is just my opinion. And we do have resistance up here. And again, we can trace this line back as well. First of all, let's see what happened this year in July and August and September of 2020. We were finding a lot of resistance in this range and even a little bit of support. Like let's really, really zoom in and take a look at this. When this dump, in fact, let's use the 1 hour time frame because I think it's going to be a little bit clearer. Oh God, I think it's going to be a little bit clearer for you guys. Yeah, let's zoom in over here and we can see very clearly that we ended up hitting 12.5k, and this was a very strong rejection, right? I mean, Bitcoin couldn't fight it. Bitcoin couldn't keep trading higher at any point. The only time that Bitcoin got a break and started fighting the bears and trading higher was off this level. This is really significant. This is only one support hit, so you might not think at first that this is a big deal, but in my opinion, this is a big, big deal for Bitcoin. And the reason for that is that this was a very strong sell-off, and the only thing that stopped this sell-off was this support line. So, and then look at how it turned into resistance. I mean, it was a very strong area of resistance. So just like the green line below, this blue line is really important in my opinion. And I think that it's going to turn into quite a dangerous resistance level for Bitcoin if it ends up trading higher. So that's exactly why my take profit orders for my long position are around this range, because I don't know if Bitcoin is going to break it. Here's the deal. Bitcoin is currently negating this trend of setting lower highs. You guys remember me talking about this quite a lot. I was showing you how Bitcoin was setting lower highs after lower highs after lower highs, and I was saying this is very, very bearish. And this is so important. This is a very, very important note to touch on, because my analysis here was wrong. I mean, the fact that we had lower highs, yes, I was correct about that, but my bearish sentiment turned out to be incorrect. But did I lose any money? Absolutely not. I didn't lose anything. In fact, I made money because, first of all, I'm in a long position at the moment, but second of all, I was holding a little bit of Bitcoin anyway, just to trade with. So, one of the things that's really important to understand, I think, is, all of the pride and stuff like that goes behind analysis. It's only half of the battle. The other half of the battle, the even more tricky half, is the actual trading. You can be wrong about your analysis a million times, but if your trades are still good, you make money. At the end of the day, we're not here to have a dick measuring contest about who's got the best analysis. We're here to make money. And that's exactly what my focus has been with this market. So it's just, this is a very real world and current example of where it's fine if your analysis is wrong, as long as your trades still go well. That's all it comes to. Unless you're here for bragging rights, no one's interested in you in that case, but unless you are here for bragging rights, the only thing that matters are your trades. And so that's very, very important. But going back to the technicals here, we were setting lower highs, and now we have started to negate that trend. We've risen above this high, and this high, and this high, and this high, and even this one here. So we've done quite well today. We've really, really shifted the trend in favor of the bulls. But if we end up getting rejected over here, because I've just shown you why this area might turn into quite a heavy area of resistance. If we do end up getting rejected over here, then I think that could turn into a very typical, more macro structure, lower highs pattern. So here we are, 1, 2, 3, each high getting lower on a macro scale, and then if we end up trading lower, it could turn out to be quite problematic for Bitcoin. And I don't want to lean too much to the bearish side at the moment, because I think there's a lot of good reasons that the bulls are excited at the moment. Obviously, I don't really care what the majority think unless my analysis aligns with it. And at the moment it does, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. But there's something very important that could happen over the next literally 24, 48 hours, which would screw everything up for Bitcoin. And that is, in my opinion, if Bitcoin ends up trading higher over this weekend. So this probably sounds really weird, because I'm in a long position right now. I actively have money behind the idea of Bitcoin rising higher, and I stand to make a lot of money if it does. But at the same time, I'm telling you that actually I hope it doesn't happen. And the reason for that is, of course, right now the Bitcoin CME markets are closed. On the Bitcoin CME chart, Bitcoin's price is currently at $11,100, which means the true price of Bitcoin might open around over here if it opens right now, or it might even open higher into the $11,800 range, and that is going to leave a very sizable gap on this chart. This is going to turn into a gap which spans between these two lines if we end up opening the market over here, and that, my friends, is a very, very big gap. I mean, we are talking about, something like a $700 gap, talking about 6.5% of price action between these two. In fact, let's measure that. What is this? Because this is quite significant. Oh, my bad, 4.5% roughly of trading action here between these two lines, and I think that that's going to make it quite difficult to keep that bullish rally going, because we already have a gap on the CME chart right here. We didn't end up fully filling it. Take a look at this. This wick only came down to about over here, so we didn't end up filling the gap fully, and this is quite problematic. A lot of people will see this as a serious problem, and I think they already did. I think that's why people have already been quite heavy on the bearish side, including myself. And if we get another one over here, a bigger one over here, then yeah, I'm concerned. I'm not going to be able to stay very optimistic about the market if we paint a gap over here. So I want Bitcoin to kind of cool down. If it were up to me, obviously it's not, but if it were up to me, I would want Bitcoin to kind of cool down and play it safe, play it slow over the next 24, 48 hours so that we can wait for the futures money to confirm this price action. It would be a combination of quite a few bearish factors if we end up setting a top up at this level and then coming back down just because of the CME gap, because now we have confirmed our macro lower high structure, right? We have confirmed that if we end up dropping lower, and there's a gap to tell us that we have to trade lower, and the panic, and this is the thing I've been saying for quite a while. I need you guys to be very aware of this. The panic that can set in this market overnight, with no warning, is dangerous. The panic that can set in this market when people really start worrying and feel fear and uncertainty and doubt, it triggers very, very big dumps very, very quickly a lot of the time. We have a lot of evidence of this. And I've shown you where it is. I mean, we can go back to, I think the coronavirus market crash was a really big one, right? I mean, this was this was one of the worst dumps I've ever seen in my life, but I mean, it goes back all the way to a year ago. I mean, Bitcoin has had a reputation now for when it sells off, it does it relentlessly. There is no remorse for Bitcoin, when it's dropping lower. And the only thing I want to do, because it's happened so often, is just be very, very aware of the risk of that happening again, because it's not rare. It's not a rare occurrence for Bitcoin anymore. So it could happen again. In fact, it happened as recently as, last month. So, I think this drop is still relatively fresh in a lot of your guys' minds. So that's what I'm seeing with Bitcoin at the moment. I want it to hit this resistance area. I just don't want it to happen while the CME market is closed, because I think that could put Bitcoin in quite a problematic position. It would make it quite difficult, in my opinion, for Bitcoin to keep rising higher. But as I said, title of this live stream, all barriers cleared. Is it an easy path for Bitcoin to $20,000? Well, here's the thing. If we do end up breaking this resistance area, and overall, I think that we probably would. One of the things that could end up happening is we get rejected here, and then bam, we come back down to the support level, maybe get rejected one more time, then back down to the support level. But I think eventually we are going to break it. Why do I think that? Because we have had quite a bearish structure in the market with these lower highs, with the symmetrical triangle, which should have been a continuation pattern, in my opinion, indicating that Bitcoin would trade downwards. But in the face of all of those bearish signs, Bitcoin has seen a very nice breakout now into a key level. And so with all of that strength, I think that, Bitcoin has done the hardest part already. Bitcoin has passed the hardest part already, and that might mean that we end up breaking the resistance. I see a question from Adam Clark, and by the way, as we go on, obviously do keep dropping your questions in the live comment chat. If you weren't able to make it to today's live stream, then I'm doing it at on different days and also at different times to make sure that it's convenient for as many of you as possible. But Adam Clark is saying that CME shouldn't dictate everyone's trades, and that's a very good point. It's quite a stupid reason for people to trade, just because the CME chart has something or doesn't have something. But the good news, Adam, is that the CME didn't dictate everyone's trades this time around. Actually, if it did, we would have come down to fill this gap with this green box, but we ended up trading higher. So in this case, the CME is being ignored. My only concern as well, this is very much the anomaly. This is very much the exception to what turns out to be a rule. And are we going to get another exception to that rule and just keep rising higher if it happens this weekend? Maybe we will get another exception. Maybe this marks the end of the CME dominance on the chart. Maybe. But statistically speaking, probably not. So, I'm going to go with that at the moment. But let's say, we do end up breaking above this resistance. Well, here's the thing. This is pretty much the last resistance level for Bitcoin. As far as difficult resistance levels go, I think we really have done the bulk of it already. If we do clear this resistance level, then we would be looking at 12,500 as the next North Star kind of high that Bitcoin might end up setting. It would be very impressive if Bitcoin does end up getting there. And I just saw a comment, somebody asking me, FORFLIES, couldn't Bitcoin be forming a double top? And that's exactly the next concern I have. We could end up setting a double top at 12.5. But I don't think that's likely because I just think if we're going to get that high, then there should be quite a bit of momentum behind Bitcoin to the point where it would probably break out quite well and really carry its let its momentum carry it a lot higher. And so now we have to zoom out and start looking at the Moonboy targets, right? The things that you and I are very, very excited for, because the good news again is above this blue line there isn't really much resistance. We have psychological resistance at $14,000 because that is where we topped out in our last parabolic run that we had back in early mid 2019. You guys will remember this very, very well. We topped out at $14,000, then we fell down to 3.8. And so it very well could be the case that Bitcoin, after clearing this blue line, will end up hitting this resistance level. And this is where, a poetic double top would make a little bit more sense. And I think it would be very, very brutal in the market. But again, that's just not the type of thing that I'm willing to bet on, because, another thing we need to keep in mind is that we've tried this so many times now. We really are seeing a very clear trend in the market at the moment, in my opinion, which is that Bitcoin keeps trying these higher levels. It also keeps trying the lower levels, to be fair, but we're spending more time at these higher levels, and I'm going to prove it to you by simply, I'm just going to drop a line. I'm going to drop a line at, I would consider anything above 8,000 to be a high price for Bitcoin, to be a good price for Bitcoin. So I'm going to drop a line at $8,000, and if we really kind of, color in, for lack of a better method, how, where Bitcoin was during these points, we'll see that Bitcoin doesn't occupy a lot of space below this blue line. It trades in terms of time frame. This is a very, very bad way to demonstrate my point, but as far as time goes, Bitcoin, I think overall has spent more time above this blue line than below it. And that's a pretty big deal because, $11,000 is closer to Bitcoin than $3,000. So statistically, we should have spent more time below the line, but we haven't. And so what that's showing us, the next thing I want to show you, is just how Bitcoin has been trying to break out so much. We tried at $14,000. Yes, we did fail, but after that, we fell down. We hit about 7.3. Then we came up to 10 and we got rejected. We tried it again and we got rejected very, very badly this time. And then we tried it again. So this level obviously became much weaker, and I kept telling you guys during this point in the market that that a breakout would have been very likely, in my opinion, and bam, that resistance ended up breaking. So we keep trying to break these resistance levels, and overall we're spending more time in what I would personally consider, in my opinion, to be high ranges for Bitcoin. And one of the important things to talk about when it comes to markets like this is, what is the true price of Bitcoin? Everyone wants to ask you this question and get a little bit philosophical and stuff, and my response to that question is, first of all, it's a really, no question is stupid, but it's quite a pointless question. But to answer it directly, in my opinion, the true price of Bitcoin is whatever price it's trading at the moment. And I think that's quite undeniable. If Bitcoin is at $11,300, then a free market has decided that that's what they want to pay or sell Bitcoin for. I think that's a really, really powerful thing to keep in mind. So the true price of Bitcoin is wherever it is at the moment. And just kind of going off my very rough, line that I drew for you, my very rough blue line at $8,000, I think that it looks very, very clear that the true price of Bitcoin seems to be anchored at quite a high price. And to me, that's pretty exciting. To me, that means that the possibility of a breakout above these key levels just looks more and more likely as we keep rising higher. And of course, if we do end up breaking $14,000, we have a little bit more resistance at $17,000. But the key thing to keep in mind is that these resistance levels get weaker the higher we go. It does, the psychology does play a part in the market. And obviously, if we hit $20,000, then I would expect a sell-off, just because people are like, shit, okay, it hit 20K, it's probably going to go down. But at the very same time, you could be looking at a lot of fear of missing out. And so I think that with these resistance levels getting weaker overhead, Bitcoin has pretty much cleared all of its barriers. It has, used up all of the bear's powers, and now the bulls seem to be taking back control of the ship. And you know what? A lot of this hinges on what happens at this resistance level. If we end up topping out over here and then dropping below this green line, that would be a very, very bad thing in the market, in my opinion. The reason it would be a very, very bad sign is that we have had right now, and Bitcoin does this all the time, so I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised, but if Bitcoin did end up screwing up basically a very, very good opportunity by topping out at this point, setting a macro, it's not even a macro lower high, but it's definitely a longer time frame lower high within this rally, and then if it falls below this very strong support level, in my opinion it's a strong support level, if it falls below this level, then yeah, we could be looking at something quite disastrous for Bitcoin. And if it screws that up, then absolutely I might be looking at a very, very big drop in the long run, over the next couple of months. But that's a lot of ifs, and it's quite far away as it stands. I think the fact of the matter at the moment is that that there has been a very, very nice move on Bitcoin at the moment. And like I said, I mean, I wasn't even expecting this move. I was very much expecting that we'd end up trading lower. And actually, I had a short position ready to enter a short on Bitcoin if it fell down to roughly over here. So I was ready to put money behind that. But it ended up moving in the opposite direction to what I expected, and I still made money on it. I'm still currently, as I speak, at roughly, I don't know, an 18, 19% profit on my position on Bitcoin, which again, it's not massive, right? I mean, that's not a crazy, crazy gain, but I feel that I did it very, very safely, and I've been managing my risk very well after that. And then again, if I take a look at the percentage change of these markets across the past 24 hours, nothing even hits 5% as I scroll down. So, I mean, I really, really just with one trade outperforming all of these markets, and that's just a show of how powerful the kind of trading I do can be. And obviously, most people lose a shitload of money. 90% of people lose 90% of their money in 90 days. It's very, very dangerous. But if you're able to approach it safely and in a very, very methodical way, it can turn out to be very, very beautiful for you. That's exactly how it has been for me. And we've had a VIP member join a little while back mentioning that he didn't know how all of this leverage trading worked back then. He loved his first trade that he made when he was in VIP. He made 50% profit, and really giving me a bunch of very nice compliments. And it's just absolutely blew him away seeing such a big profit the first time around. But then also mentioning that leverage opened his eyes. That's kind of the point that I like to make with these videos. In order to make a 17% profit, you would have had to be waiting quite a long time. Even if you entered a long position, even if you bought Bitcoin at $10,000, you still wouldn't be in a 17% profit, right? And that was 30 days ago. I did this in one day. So it really is a case of, in my opinion, and I'm not telling you guys that this is what you should do, but in my opinion, why would anyone wait, for a month just for the very, very same gains? For me, it's all about making that same money time and time again while other people just sit quietly on the sides. It very much is a case of taking full control, grabbing this stuff by the horns and riding the bull or the bear, wherever it wants to go. I'm trading it up, I'm trading it down, and I'm trading opportunities, but I haven't actually made any trades. And he mentioned that he was actually very happy to see that, because this is a person who was previously really rushing into trades and losing money and different things like that. And then bam, when I'm ready to jump onto the markets, I'm able to do it in a very safe way. And to me, that is super, super important. So if you want to see how I'm doing this stuff in real time, we've had a lot of people join VIP just over the past couple of days and renew their membership and stuff like that, because they know that, we've got the US election coming up, we've got, potentials for second lockdowns and stuff like that. There's probably going to be a lot of volatility in the markets over these next couple of months. So we've had a big uptake in VIP members and people who want to, be in VIP to be in their, in their view, as prepared as possible to take advantage of the market. I mean, that this is very much the time where things are popping off, and I think we're seeing clear evidence of that because Bitcoin has ended up making a nice move. I think the gold market is closed right now, isn't it? Yeah, it is closed. But on Monday, I mean, it's already broken out, I guess, in official terms, but we need to see a bit of a higher rise. But on Monday, when this market opens again, we could be looking at a very, very big rise. So this right now is very much the time where things are popping off in the market. So it's no surprise that a bunch of people are ready to jump in. And I'm seeing a couple comments, well, one comment saying that leverage is very risky, and you're absolutely correct, Kareem. It is really risky to trade on leverage, but with a systematic approach and a healthy approach, I've been able to make it for myself a very, very profitable trading system and a way to trade, and that's one of the things that I teach in VIP. There's a whole lot, and you can find out what it is by clicking on the first link in the description down below, and then clicking on the @FORFLIES button, and then send message. You can ask me exactly, you can do it right now, my assistant is here, ask me exactly what the details of VIP are and how to join, and we'll give you all of the information. But like I said, this trade that I'm in right now, I showed VIP members exactly what I was doing well before Bitcoin ended up dropping down to this level, and I was prepared to profit from it. They've been getting updates in real time of how I've been closing my position, and of course they'll continue to get updates on it as well as as well as the next trades that I make. And actually, on that note, the next thing that I want to show you is Ethereum, because I'm seeing some really good opportunities on Ethereum again. Ethereum, kind of as it was before, is turning into a more interesting coin than Bitcoin at the moment. And the reason for that is it has now overcome this resistance area where I had these two yellow lines. You guys remember that I was showing you this was a very strong area of resistance, but it has ended up overcoming this resistance area. What's it up by? It's up by 2.3%, so I mean, it's done pretty much the same thing as Bitcoin. But what's even more appealing to me is I think that the resistance over here at $400 is stronger. Although if Bitcoin ends up breaking it, if Bitcoin ends up breaking 11.8, then Ethereum will probably break 400, just from my experience. But I think that it has turned into a very, very interesting setup with Ethereum over here, where it could see a big rejection off the $400 level. As you guys know, that's exactly the same trade that I made over here, where I went short on the $400 level just because I was expecting it to drop very quickly and very far, and that's exactly what happened, which enabled me to make a beautiful 180% profit. I remember I was talking to somebody about Ethereum a while back, and he asked me, "Hey Sammy," he wanted to join VIP. He was on the sidelines, and he asked me, "Hey Sammy, I'm in a short on Ethereum since about $320, and at the time Ethereum was roughly over here." And he asked me, "Sammy, do you think it's going to go up?" And obviously I don't know, and I also can't tell him because I don't give financial advice. But it's very sad, I thought, to see people who are trapped in positions that they shouldn't have taken, and then really struggling to get out of them, even when they know that they want to get into the VIP group, for example, or even if it's not the VIP group, but invest in somebody else's course or in a book or something like that, but their funds are tied up in a losing trade at that, where they just keep on watching themselves lose money. It is a very, very painful position to be in, and of course that's one of the key things that I seek to help you prevent, which you'll be able to learn a lot about, because I've been in those trapped positions quite a bit, where I'm trapped in a position that I didn't want to be in. I've had that experience a lot, and so that's one of the key things that I try to get across in our course, the Advanced FORFLIES Academy, as well. So that's something important to keep in mind. But if Ethereum does end up falling down to this level, then it's the same as Bitcoin for me. I think that it's going to end up pumping very well if we end up hitting this support level, and that's because it's had such a nice breakout, and this is such a strong area of support. So it could turn into quite a strong bounce zone for Bitcoin, and if it for Ethereum, and if it does, then yeah, I think that breaking these levels at $400 could be quite an easy ride for Ethereum, and then more importantly, if it ends up breaking the $400 level, then I mean there's not really a lot of resistance for Ethereum beyond that. So I think that it could actually have a relatively easy ride, dare I say, to trade a lot higher and jump by a couple $100 if not even more. And I think that that's looking like a very, very good setup for Ethereum if it does end up breaking resistance. John dropping absolute wisdom over here. I mean, it's the same thing that I would have said, really. If you're trapped in a position, get out. Simple. It's okay to be wrong about a trade. It's not okay to stay wrong. Simple. John, I mean, that's. I wish I could like a comment in the live chat, but I completely agree with you. It is okay to have the wrong trade, but what's not okay is staying in it and then watching yourself lose more and more money. You just watch yourself bleed, and not only are you losing money, but you're also losing hair and a whole lot of other things like your youth. So I just don't feel like it's worth it from a psychological, physiological, and financial standpoint. And that's one of the reasons that a stop loss is so key. It's like getting into a car and wearing a seatbelt. It's non-negotiable. There is no half in, half out kind of thing. It's a stop loss. I have to use a stop loss in every single trade. And actually, one of the key things I always do is I move my stop loss actively. I always seek to manage risk in a very, very active way so that I can, always, benefit from my position in the best way possible. Today is an example of where, most of the time trading doesn't take me a lot of time, but today is an example where I have been adjusting my position on the fly just to give myself the most optimal setup. It's not necessary, but I have the time to do it, so why not? Overall, it's not going to make a big difference, but I do find it to be quite useful. So there we are. Ethereum and Bitcoin pretty much looking quite the same, but I think that if Ethereum is able to break above its resistance levels, then it could rally a lot further than Bitcoin. Let's see if we can get some more of your questions in the live chat today. I'm just going to take a look at my notes to see if I've missed anything. Cardano is doing something quite interesting. We do have a Fibonacci that my analyst wanted to show you. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Let me show you this Fibonacci that my analyst pointed out to me. This is quite good, actually. I'm surprised that I didn't see this. But here we are. It's a Fibonacci retracement that starts from the bottom of this rally over here all the way up to the top that we set just today. And as we can see on this chart, it's actually not as clear as some other charts, but on this chart here with Bitstamp, Bitcoin did end up coming down right to this 236 level, and that is where we got a bounce. So actually, I'm even more impressed with myself now because I turned out to long in fact, I went long within $5 of that line. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud. Within $5 of that Fibonacci level is where I went long, just purely by coincidence, but I guess it's because I use Fibonacci so much that it's just become second nature. That does tend to happen. And so that's where we have bounced off. But I think another key thing to note, just looking at this, is that the 382 level is usually more reliable than the 236 level. So I wouldn't want to be hugely surprised if we do drop down to this level. And it would mean that I get stopped out, but that's completely fine with me because, I'm more concerned about trading what's above us. And actually that's one of the problems with my with the trade that I went in. Steve asking me, can you trade on Bitstamp? Of course you can. Everyone I guess can trade on Bitstamp, but I don't. I actually I use a couple other exchanges which I tell you about when you join VIP, so that you just know how I'm doing it, and I'm also showing you how I do it, by the way. So one of the things that's very important is I want you to know exactly how I'm using these exchanges, and so I demonstrate to you how I use them, what buttons I press to achieve what functions and stuff like that, with similar videos to this. So if you can understand, or if you can understand even a bit of this, then the tutorial videos that we have within VIP are very much geared towards you, so that even the absolute beginner can understand what's going on. But yeah, this range, I think the one problem with this range, and I even told VIPs about it, is it's very tight. It's a very tight range, and there's a lot of resistance overhead. So that's actually why I've been aggressively de-risking my position over here. I took a very high leverage, which I usually wouldn't do, and so that's why I also raised my stop loss very quickly, and also why I've started to reduce my position quite quickly as well. I think that's very, very important, and yeah, like you can see over there, it doesn't have a whole lot of room to move, and so that's why this is a good trade. trade. I'm happy with my 17% profit, but it's not doing absolutely amazingly. Before I do move on though, let's go back to this Fibonacci. The other thing I want to point out to you is that this Fibonacci looks very important to me because every level on this Fibonacci retracement has had some significance. The 236 level is where we already had one of our bounces. The 382 level is very close to where we got some rejections. The 0.5 level is where we got a bounce, and the 0.618 level, which is probably, in my opinion, the most important level, in conjunction with the 0.382 level, has also had some interaction. So this is a very significant Fibonacci level, in my opinion, and actually, you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but if Bitcoin does end up falling down to $10,900, which is right over here, I think that this would be a very nice entry level on another long position for myself. Now, obviously, you guys don't like me saying this because I'm talking about Bitcoin dropping down by like $500 or something like that. So yeah, I mean, ideally we just want Bitcoin to keep rising up in a straight line. I mean, if we were in a euphoria world, that's what would happen. But we also, by the way, we know what happens when we experience extreme euphoria. We also experience extreme despair, so it's not worth it, and that's why I always talk about Bitcoin dropping lower before it trades higher. I really do like that, and just because it is the 618 retracement, I think it could work out pretty well for Bitcoin, but that's only if we fall down below this level. Now, if we hit resistance over here and then come down here, I think there's going to be too much bearish pressure. So for the most part, this is something I'm going to ignore. However, like I said, there's a little bit of analysis that I wanted to give you on Cardano. So let's take a look at this. Cardano is at the moment at a very important resistance level. It just got rejected off one. If we take a look at this blue line that I just drew for you and really trace this back to see how we've interacted with this line throughout its history, there's one important thing I want to show you right off the bat, which is that we've had a very strong V-shaped correction, and we are now hitting this resistance level for the second time. We hit this level for the first time about a week ago, maybe a little bit more, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but we're doing it again right now, and we did get a rejection. So I think that's very important. This is a level with quite a bit of price history here on the Binance chart. It did end up falling down to this level and finding support here when it traded down here in September of 2018. But after that, it actually fell below, and then again we saw some more interactions around this level. So I think one of the problems with Cardano is that it doesn't have a lot of price history at each of these levels, because it's just kept dropping throughout its entire life pretty much. I mean, I think it's almost definitely spent more time trading downwards or sideways than it has trading upwards. I mean, most of its life it's been doing something boring than something interesting, and what that means is that there's not a lot of data we have about this resistance level, but nonetheless, I think that this is an important level for Cardano, and if this uptrend is going to continue, then I think that trading opening a long position for myself off this level could turn out to be very interesting. That means Cardano would have to break above this level, then fall down, and at this point I would be interested in trading Cardano. This, by the way, is the exact same thing that I just did on Bitcoin. So I waited for Bitcoin deliberately to break above this resistance level, and then I waited for it to come down, and then I entered a trade. A lot of people will sometimes, I'm seeing your messages about joining VIP, by the way. If you want to get in, then you can follow these steps right here while you watch the video. But one of the key things is I mean, I don't trade every single day. I'm not a day trader. I'm not doing a million trades a week or anything like that. But when I trade, there is a very significant purpose to it, and I make sure that it counts. So I did wait for us to break out. I did wait for us to come back down, but that's when I pounced on the market, and that's how I've been able to close such clean profits on this position already. So moving it back to Cardano, basically looking at repeating the same trade. And I don't know if you guys realize how powerful this is. I want to spend a couple minutes talking about this. There is real power behind trading this type of pattern, in my view, for myself, because I've already done it successfully on Bitcoin. Well, it's not finished. I mean, that position is still open. I can still lose money if it hits my stop loss. But I've already been doing it on Bitcoin, and now I'm seeing a similar setup to do it on Cardano. And this is exactly what happened when I traded Cardano with this drop down below support. And then I did the same thing with Tron, or I was looking to do the same thing with Tron, my bad, if it drops below this green box. So this is the next thing I wanted to show you. This is the same thing I want to do. And also, it's the same thing I nearly did. I can't remember if I traded this, but it's the same thing I don't think I did. I nearly did trading below this green box. So I told you that if Tron falls below this green box, then I would expect it to fall into the next one, and that as well is a very, very big range. So what you're seeing here is a pattern, guys. I think what happened here is I missed this opportunity, but I knew that it was going to be a high likelihood of happening, so then I did it on Cardano, and that's where you saw, and I shared that trade publicly, everyone saw it. That's when I traded the very, very same thing on Cardano, and then yeah, Cardano ended up going in the wrong direction eventually, but my stop loss was at break even, so it didn't matter. I closed some profits, and then the rest of my position closed at break even, so I didn't end up losing money on that trade, and actually I walked away a little bit richer. This is super, super important. You know, these crypto markets, what's so powerful about them, I love this. This is what makes these markets so easy for me. Is what happens in these markets is that they'll typically follow, in my experience, similar patterns, but they'll follow these similar patterns at different times. And so as long as you know what to look for, as long as, for example, I've been doing this for a couple of years, you know, I've all of this analysis, I know very well what to look for and how to spot these things easily, and that's exactly what goes into the VIP group. As long as I know what to look for, it's very, you know, how do I say it? It's not very difficult for me to trade it on different time frames. I could have traded it here on Tron. I missed that opportunity, so I did the same thing on Cardano. Now I've traded this long support retest on Bitcoin. I might end up doing it on Cardano as well, and it's just so predictable in that way. Obviously, one of the best things you can do as a trader is move things into your advantage where the game becomes very, very predictable. I think that's really, really important. So there we go. I think that's shout out to you guys watching this live. I mean, this is way more. This is why I like doing these videos, by the way, these live streams. It's because I can give you way more value, right? Because you guys are sticking around for a long time, so I can tell you a lot more. And if you guys think that this is mind-blowing, you know, just wait till you find out what's in the VIP group. This is the next thing I want to show you. One of our members is about to renew, and he said that one of his favorite aspects of VIP is the altcoin update, which we do every week, and that's where I will literally give you an update of each altcoin that I'm looking at, where I'm telling you what I think looks interesting on these coins, and then letting you know which kind of trades I might end up making as well. But and that comes every single week, so that's super, super important. But the next thing that I want to show you is, you know, again, I just said it with Cardano and Bitcoin, but it's beautiful. You can see this happening right in front of your eyes. You know, if we take a look at what's been happening with Bitcoin, it's now very conclusively risen above this support level, this support Ichimoku cloud, and the cloud is widening now, so we have broken out of this cloud. It was getting thinner. It used to be very, very fat. It used to be a big area of support. Then it got weaker, but we still used it to our advantage. And what's happening with Ethereum? Let's use a different chart where I haven't drawn anything, and let's take a look at this. I mean, it was previously a bigger cloud, not much bigger, but it was bigger. It started to, thin out. It started to become a little bit more narrow, but we're finally right on the cusp of breaking out of this Ichimoku cloud, and that is so special. This is exactly the same thing where I mentioned that in cryptocurrency trading, a lot of these coins will do the same thing on different time frames. They'll take it in turns. You know, one coin will do it first. That will be the leading coin. Usually it's Bitcoin. Sometimes it's Ethereum. Sometimes it's shit coins. But something will lead the market. And then, in my experience, quite a lot of the time, another coin will follow. and another coin will follow. And so as long as you know what to look for, it can turn into quite an easy setup to make a lot of money. So I mean, this is not something that I'm going to trade, because if Ethereum goes up to 400, then I think that Bitcoin will go up to 11.8. So why would I open another long position? I'm already in a long position. It's basically the same thing. But if Ethereum does end up breaking out of this Ichimoku cloud, and literally, I mean, all it would take, just as an example, is let's say Bitcoin just trades sideways for the next 24 or 48 hours. I think that would be enough to give Ethereum a chance to then explode upwards. Or even if Bitcoin starts trading lower, and let's say I get stopped out, it drops a little bit lower. If Bitcoin drops lower, then, one of the things that could be happening is that money is moving out of Bitcoin and into Ethereum. And obviously Ethereum is a lot easier to move than Bitcoin. I don't know how many of you will realize this just looking at the chart, but this move that Bitcoin did since it broke out of the Ichimoku cloud was only 4.9%, right? Bitcoin has only risen up by 4.9% from this Ichimoku cloud. But Ethereum, if it does the same thing up to that $400 resistance level, already we're looking at a 5.9% move. So that might not sound like a lot. This is 4.3% versus 5.9%, but the same move breaking out of the same indicator to the same resistance area is a bigger range on Ethereum. And again, I mean, I really hope I'm starting to show you what's possible in these markets with these live streams, because we do have a lot of people jumping into the VIP group, for example, and they've never traded on leverage before. They have no idea what it's like, and I'm not promoting this, by the way, especially to UK. Oops, that was my phone. I'm not promoting this especially to UK customers. So if you're a UK viewer, then unfortunately you have to stop watching these videos, because we have a shit government. And also definitely don't trade on leverage, and don't listen to me because I'm an idiot. But one of the things that I find so powerful and that I love seeing is that a lot of people will jump into VIP from outside the UK, and they've never traded on leverage before, and outside the US, and they'll realize how much power there is behind it, because it very much is a case where it's possible to make relatively quick gains, relatively large gains quite quickly, and to do it safely is the key thing. If you're able to follow a healthy strategy, a healthy system, and that system is exactly what I show you. I show you exactly what my system is within VIP. So super, super powerful stuff there. We're able to see how the same thing on Ethereum turns out to be a significantly more interesting trade, simply because it's a bigger range. So if I apply leverage to that move, if I have 10 times leverage, for example, I'm looking at more than 10% more profit. So that is, I mean, that's a big deal. If depending on your kind of trading balances, that can be quite significant, and I think that's well worth keeping in mind. As we go on, like I said, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I want to take a look at Ripple as well. I haven't looked at Ripple for quite a while. May as well do it while we're on this stream. I'm not seeing any definite trend on Ripple. I mean, it doesn't really have any support levels below it from what I'm seeing, but it could end up dropping to 2100 Satoshis and then maybe finding a bounce. I don't know. This doesn't look interesting to me at the moment. The S&P 500 in gold, though, these two do look good to me. The S&P 500 is kind of gapping away, although I don't think that gaps are that important on this market. And it is looking at potentially reaching all-time highs on Monday or just at some point in the next week. So again, really quite a lot of volatility. In any case, I don't think that it's just going to trade sideways. I think it is going to do something interesting quite quickly. Whether that is, trade to all-time highs or get rejected at resistance, I don't know. But I mean, that US election, I mean, it's what, like 25 days away or something. I mean, it's 23 days, something like that. It's very close to happening now, and it could turn into something quite significant. So with the S&P near all-time highs, with gold really teasing these all-time highs, basically already breaking out of this resistance area, I think we're so close to this market just popping off, and that to me is obviously very, very exciting. This is very much where I'm hot on the balls and ready to, hot on the ball even, my bad, and ready to seize this market wherever I feel like it is appropriate. So there we go. I think that's going to round off this live stream. Pretty much covered a lot of the questions that I think I can. Don't want to look at Litecoin today because it isn't interesting. in my opinion. And then once again, before I close off, shout out to the people who ended up jumping into the VIP group over these past couple of days and renewing their membership and stuff like that. It's one of those things where these guys are talking about how they want to build confidence in their trading, and they have good trading ideas, but maybe they move their stop loss to bad places, or they just can't commit to the kind of trades that they wanted to make. And a lot of the time, these members, after joining VIP, are able to stick to their trades with a lot more confidence just because they know what they're doing with a lot more clarity now. That is especially what I see from people who have gone through our advanced FORFLIES Academy, which is completely free with our yearly subscription plan. It is a lot of value coming at you, with over 10 hours of content within the advanced course. JJ asking, can we look at Cardano? I covered that earlier in the stream, so go ahead and rewind this. But we are running a very, very big sale for you if you want to get into the yearly plan. It is definitely the one with the most value. Like I said, over 10 hours of content with that advanced FORFLIES Academy. And if you want to find out exactly what's on offer with that academy, then you can follow these steps to ask me about the details for it, and I will send you absolutely everything you need. There is a video I made about it as well, so I'll send you the link to that where I explain it in a little bit more detail. But in short, if you want to find out what's going on behind those paid doors with the VIP experience, with our advanced course, then you can do that by clicking on the first link in the description down below. That will take you to my Telegram channel. It's completely free, and that's where I give you regular updates on what I'm seeing within the market. And then click on the @FORFLIES button at the bottom of any post to ask me how to join VIP after clicking on send message. This is a process from start to finish that should take you probably less than 30 seconds. It's very, very quick, and if you're not on Telegram already, then by the way, this is where Telegram and Discord are the two apps that most traders use. I think it's a very good idea to be on one of these apps at least. I'm on both, obviously, and of course this is where we're able to send you all of the VIP updates straight to your phone. So a lot of people ask me, hey Sammy, how will I find out what you're trading, for example? I'll tell you. I'll just straight up tell you as soon as I've decided something I'm going to trade, or especially when I'm just considering what I might trade, I will tell you what I'm considering or what I'm trading. And when I have committed to something, I'll also tell you exactly where I'm looking to enter that position, how I'm going to be entering it. And there are tutorials on how I do these things as well inside the VIP library, which you get as a member. But then also where my stop loss will be, how I might move my stop loss in the future, where my profit taking targets will be. And then, of course, once the position is open, just like I did today, I'll tell you where I'm moving my stop loss, why I'm doing all of those things. So you can really get a very, very comprehensive insight into how I do my trading. And if that sounds like something that would interest you, then it's definitely there for you, ready to join with our best biggest discount ever at the moment. So now's definitely the time to take advantage of it. Just pretty much find out what's on offer, and even if you want to set up a call with a member of our team, that is possible too. So I'll see you on the other side, and I'm going to probably take a little bit more profit off this position at the moment. I'm gonna give you a quick bonus right now, real quick. VIP members will know why I've been raising my stop loss, but I want to go into a little bit more detail. Originally, my stop loss was something like, my stop loss was originally down here, which was very far away, right? It was originally down here, and I ended up moving it very quickly up here with half of my stop loss, and I explained how I did that, and then I moved all of my stop loss up here as well. So now it's just below this green line, and the reason I did that is at the time Bitcoin kind of dipped lower to fill my order, and then it spiked higher, and this right now still could very much be a falling wedge pattern, a rising wedge pattern. And this is super, super important. Let me show this to you on a different chart, because this is something I need to be concerned about. This very directly affects my trade at the moment, because what Bitcoin is doing at the moment is forming a rising wedge within the market, which, I mean, in the past, rising wedges like over here, it has resulted in big pumps. I mean, that's what we had over here, and then we got a big pump. So, I mean, it could definitely go both ways, but conventionally, a pattern like this is bearish. And here's the thing. If we do end up following a bearish pattern from here, I think that the likelihood of plunging very low has gotten a lot higher. I do think this is a strong area of resistance, but I'm not willing to have a lot of faith just in that alone, and that's why I raised my stop loss so aggressively. I'm completely fine if my stop loss ends up getting triggered and then we go right back up, because I know there are going to be so many more opportunities very, very soon in this very, very volatile market. But that's why I think it was so important to be moving my stop loss, and it comes down to the basic tenet of not losing money is always the number one. It's so obvious when I say it out loud, but not losing money is always the number one priority for any trader, because if you are losing money, all of a sudden you're on your back foot, and it's very, very difficult to have the right emotional stability that you need as a trader, and that can make it very, very difficult to have good decision-making processes, and so actually I think that's one of the biggest sources of value from the VIP group, because I'm not making 100% successful trades every single time. I have losses, and one of the things you see, one of the key things you see, is how I react to my losses, how I deal with those losses, how I cool off after losses, and then also how I cool off after big wins, because a lot of you have experienced what it's like to make a lot of money from trading, where you've had a really, really good idea and then you kiss it all away really, really quickly as well. I've done it too. I mean, I distinctly remember there was one point where I was slaying the markets, making 100% profits every single week. My success rate was amazing. It was going so well. I got so confident, and then I got liquidated 3 times in a row. This was a very, very long time ago. I was much younger back then, but that was the lesson that taught me not to get overconfident in these markets, especially when I'm making money. And so you see how I respond to wins, because I have a process that I follow after I've made profit within these markets. I'm very particular about, for example, not rushing into the next trade right after I've made a successful trade. There are exceptions, and you saw the exception last month where I traded Ethereum, closed a very 180% profit on Ethereum, a very nice profit there, and then the next day I traded it again, and then shortly afterwards I traded Cardano. So there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, you get to see how I'm managing my psychology, and I think that's so valuable in this market. So you know what, as I speak, one of the things I've been saying to the people I've spoken to today is that I'm definitely considering markets can humble you, Spencer. Yeah, I mean, markets will humble you. It's just a matter of time, really. If you go into it with too much confidence and stuff like that, yeah, it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. But one of the things I'm considering doing is, yeah, I mean, there is some good profit potential if I wait and let this position run even higher. But I'm strongly considering closing everything right now. It's roughly at 16-17% profit, which, again, it's not massive, but it beats out the entire market, and I mean, it's good enough. Maybe it's going to come lower into the support range so I can get a better entry. I don't know. It's just an idea that I'm playing around with, and I quite like the idea. I like the idea of closing the whole position here, because it's not doing a whole lot, and I'm paying a funding rate and stuff like that. So that's what I'm thinking about with my position today. There you go. Hope you have enjoyed this video. I'm going to be getting off now because I think we have hit the 1 hour mark. Let's shoot up those likes before I do end up closing off this stream. Let's get it to a higher number. Anyone who hasn't liked the video yet, I'd very much appreciate if you do. And of course, this is one of the things that I really enjoy doing, these live streams. You can tell that I do them a lot more frequently now. I think that today we had more viewers, so I can do a similar time next time around. This is 9 p.m. in the UK, although I won't be in the UK for very long because of these regulations, so I'll be leaving. But I think that it's still a good time. And we were able to capture a lot of people from the United States. A lot of people from Europe are still up because it's a Saturday. So I think that it's a good time for these live streams. But if you could like it 100 times, you would. I love that, JP. Do you know what? Just saying that is worth it to me. So thank you very much. But if you want to see these live streams on any other particular days, then just message me and tell me what you might be interested in. If it's a Wednesday, for example, or something like that, then just let me know. Okay, I'm gonna get going now. Hope you have enjoyed this one. And once again, if you want to find out what's going on with the VIP group and our advanced academy, then you can just ask me for the details by following these steps. It is, like I said, it is our biggest discount we've ever done at the moment. And if you want to get in on that, then these are the steps to do that. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.